Hey folks, welcome back. So yes, in this video I'm going to tell you about the dumbest thing I've ever done. But if you're a new follower, I want to share with you a little about who I am and that I'm just not a crackpot. So I'm Dag. I'm obsessed with building and designing my own giant scale airplanes. And I try to share everything on my channel, that things that I have done that are successful so that you can have success too. Okay? Got over 300 videos out there. My passion is model aircraft as a hobby. I mean, of course, I've got family and work and all that. But giant scale aircraft is my passion. But I didn't start there. I actually started with a Cox Control Line PT trainer, PT-19 trainer, and then got into RC, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But first, I want to give a shout out to my sponsor, RTL Fasteners. If you need any fasteners for your RC project, anything, they probably have it. Blind nuts, lock nuts, metric standard, servo screws, you name it, they've got it. Go to the website, and if you buy more than $50 in product, you can get 30% off your order by using code DA30, okay? So let's get into the dumbest thing I've ever done in RC. So back in the day, I had a really good friend who was kind of my mentor, kind of taught me how to fly. Well, I taught myself to fly powered RC on a baseball diamond, flying in circles, okay, around me like it was control line. But that airplane I bought from a super nice guy at a hobby shop. And unfortunately, that guy's passed away quite a few years back. But he became kind of my mentor. He got me involved with clubs. He found out I couldn't fly an oval in front of me. He helped me become pretty much what I am in RC today, or at least helped me. He was kind of like my high school and university. And then, you know, getting my doctorate in it, I learned everything else on my own. But I hope that doesn't sound arrogant, but on Sundays, he had a hobby shop that he opened at noon. And most of the time he'd leave at 11 to go open the hobby shop. But we would all show up very early in the morning, like 8 or 9, to test fly airplanes before the wind got bad. And I ended up working part-time at this hobby shop with him. And we would trade off who would open each Sunday. Well, that Sunday it was his time to open the hobby shop. So he left at 11. And me and a bunch of guys who had been flying all morning, I'd test flown a Top Flight F4U Corsair, the kit, the 60 size kit. So I'd test flown that airplane, and we were just kind of flying, and one of my buddies pulled in a white pickup truck and had all of his planes, got them all out. And he then said, you know, Dag, well, actually he said Damon. Dag hadn't come around, my nickname hadn't come around for another 10 years. But he said, Damon, I was thinking last night when I was putting all the planes in my back of my truck in my garage, what happens if you'd sit in the back of it and chase my truck while flying a plane? And I said, what? He goes, fly formation with the truck. And I'm like, let's try it. Now look, people, I am not condoning this today. With the FAA, with the AMA, with all the stuff we got and all the Karens out there and the dicks, we don't want to do this kind of thing. If you're on private property or out in the middle of Arizona where there's nothing living within 100 miles of you, that's up to you and common sense. But for 99.9% of you, don't do this. It's just flat out stupid what I did. And I'll tell you why it was so stupid. So first of all, I took off my trainer, got in the air, and figured out I can't get in the truck while flying the airplane. So we took the truck all the way down the gravel drive of our airfield, parked it by the country road. I got refueled the airplane, started it up, taxied to the end of the runway, down by where the truck was. I got in the back of the truck, took the airplane off, sat down in a lawn chair and said, okay, let's go. So we take off down the road, and here's a couple of observations. First of all, we didn't plan anything. We didn't talk about where we were going to drive, what the speeds were going to be, what we do when we come to four-way stops, what we do with power lines going over our heads. We just jumped in and say, hey, y'all, let's see what happens. Dumbest thing I've ever done. And look, this was really dangerous. We flew over houses. We flew over cars. A couple of times when we flew formation, I mean, really close to the truck, I was always back about, I don't know, 50 to 100 feet of the truck. And I was kind of going around because behind the truck is turbulence and vortices coming off the top of the truck. So I was kind of going all over the place. And a couple of times I would yank the plane up thinking, gosh, if a car's going the other way, I might hit the car. Or if there was somebody on a bicycle. When this was done, it haunted me for like 10 years. how bad this could have went wrong. Okay, so please, please, please don't go out and just jump in the car and do this. Okay, but like I said, if you're on private property and you guys plan it and you kind of almost like you do when you're doing stunts in a movie, everything is timed and figured out, then hey, have at it. But keep in mind, your AMA is not going to cover you, and the FAA will probably be pissed at you if you do anything illegal. But getting back to the story, so first thing that freaked me out was we started slowing down, and I yelled, go faster, go faster. He goes, I'm coming up to a four-way stop. Well, we had 4 four-way stops before we got up to this highway. So I ended up, actually the first time I came up pretty close to the truck and did a loop, flew inverted back for probably 50 yards and then came back out of the loop. Then we started to move, and he kept yelling, I'm at 45. So here's a crazy thing. At 45 mile an hour, I was barely at a third throttle. The Carl Goldberg Eagle 2 easily was flying 45 mile an hour at third throttle. So then we come up to this highway, and we get on the highway, and he's doing 55 or 60, and I'm at like half throttle. And this is when we had a lot of fun, but this is kind of a couple of times I got the poop scared out of me. I saw these power lines go right over us, and the plane went right under. How the plane just didn't shred itself. It was just purely an act of the aliens that run the universe that I did not hit those power lines. Okay. The next thing was, I was amazed at, as the road would turn left and right, how hard it was for me to it was easier for me to get up 200 feet and just kind of cruise along like we're doing surveillance of the truck than for me to stay close to the truck unless we were on a straight piece of road. Another thing is, my friends driving never told me when we're coming up to a stop sign, a stoplight, or going to turn left or right. So I kept having to go up high and do orbits, and then they would turn. We actually went about 3/4 of a mile on an interstate before we got off at the next exit, and then went back toward a flying field. And it wasn't an interstate like around Indianapolis. It's like the interstates that maybe run from like Indianapolis to Fort Wayne or something like that, or maybe Indianapolis to Lafayette. Another scary thing was people would come up behind us and pass us because we weren't just flying fast. That was really weird to be sitting there in a lawn chair facing backwards and having people come up. And I'm sure they're like, what the hell are these idiots doing in the back of the truck? So, so we were only on the interstate for like a mile. And then we got off the interstate. Or could have been I'm not going to say where this was. But so we get off the interstate, we get off the highway, then we get back on a country road. Well, this country road had a couple of things where we went up in it. Oh, and another thing is, my friend trying to stay fast, every time we came to a four-way stop, he would take off really quick, and me in the chair would want to slide to the back of the truck. So look, this was the Keystone Cops, folks. I'm just trying to tell you, you don't want to do this, okay? But it was a blast. It was freaking cool. The way the flight ended was, it lasted like 25 minutes. Keeping that engine at a 3.5 throttle blew my mind, the endurance of that airplane. Because normally I'm just flying it around at 3/4 full power, doing loops and rolls with the old trainer because I'd learned, it was a beater plane. But if you know glow engines, when the fuel starts to run out, they can suck air into the fuel pickup. And when the engine starts to go lean, you can hear the engine gain RPM. So I'm flying behind me at half throttle, and I hear the throttle go up, and it kind of goes this, and then died. And I yelled, I'm dead stick. And this is where communication would have been a little bit better between the driver and myself. So I'm coming down on the country road behind us. I feel the truck slowing down, and I land perfect, folks, on the road in my lane. Okay, because I was afraid another car might be going by. And then the truck stops abruptly. And here comes the airplane, and I rolled off into the grass and into the ditch where all the beer cans and Coke bottles are. Didn't hurt the airplane, put it in the truck, and we were only about a mile from getting back to our RC airfield. So here, this haunted me for years that we did this, because I could have hit another car head on when I was trying to fly formation. I could have hit a person on a bike. I could have hit a power line. I had to fly over farmhouses when we were like on the big roads because I didn't want to fly over cars. There's so many things we did wrong with this that I just beg you, don't just enjoy the story. Don't go out and try this, okay? Because there's just so many ways this could have gone wrong. But like I said, when we're young, we do dumb things, and this was the dumbest thing I ever did with radio control aircraft, in my opinion. Now there's people that say, you know, when I'm knocking down Coke cans inverted and all of that, you know, with planes, that, you know, that's crazy. Nobody could get hurt. All I could do is crash my airplane. You know, I'm tired of all these old farts that would always say, oh, let's throw Damon out of the club because he flies dangerously. No, I'm not this senile old piece of crap that tells everybody what to do at the club and then takes off my 400-pound overweight plane, crash it, and blame it on my radio. Oh, and about radios. This is when we had FM. This was channel 16 with the big antenna. So we had to look really stupid in the back of that pickup truck. But that's the story, everybody. But I want to end this with something about modeling that I want you to think about, because I've done this forever. As I always joke, I started this when Jesus still had a paper out. There's a weird thing that happens. Once you master a trainer, like a high wing trainer, you get into a low wing trainer. Once you've mastered that, you probably get into something aerobatic. Once you've mastered that, you get into something scale. Then you say to yourself, what do I do? You don't want to do stupid things like this. You don't want your boredom to start strapping rockets and M80 firecrackers and stuff to your airplanes and blowing them up in the air. You don't want to let your boredom get destructive in model aviation. Because I had a friend one time, totally bored. We were at a new flying site, and out in the middle of the cornfield was just a barn by itself that was being demoed, being tore down. He's like, how far out do you think that barn is? I said, it's got to be a mile. Oh, no, it's probably a quarter mile. He goes, I'm going to fly my plane out and see if I can hit the barn. And he took this plane, and it was just a little dot, and you could see it, and finally he hit the barn. And we walked out to it, and it was probably only a half a mile away. It wasn't that far away. But that was boredom. I mean, he destroyed his trainer, but for some reason in his brain, he's like, do you think I could hit that barn? Don't do it, okay? So what did I do when I got bored? Well, most of my friends got into Scale or iMac, or they got into the Pattern. There's always something out there to evolve into. I went toward giant scale, designing my own aircraft. And that's where my creative juices have been for basically the last 20 years, is designing and building massive electric giant scale aircraft. And I might have forgot that at the beginning. I only build electric, and I love it. 6,000 watts of just, you know, ask your wife or girlfriend, do they like electric devices? They're going to tell you they love them. Okay. So electric's where it's at for me. So that's it, everybody. I'm going to shut this video down. Please, please, please don't go out and jump in the back of or jump in a smart car, hang yourself out of the sunroof, let your girlfriend drive, and you decide to chase yourself with like a quarter scale Stearman. Don't do that, okay? So, but that's it, everybody. That's this video. This is the dumbest thing I ever did in RC. And, all of those 3D animations I make, it's just learning tools. I don't live in the desert. There's no mountains around Indiana. I live on the northeast side of Indianapolis. I fly at the AMA headquarters. I fly at a couple of other clubs. But I really don't like clubs that much anymore, because people have kind of ruined clubs for me, just because they're all mean to kids. And if you've watched any of my videos, you know I'm always going to support the kids. If you fly drones, quads, FPV, it's a flying Hindenburg. I don't give a crap what it is. If you're 6 years old and up, you're rock stars to me, and you're the future of our hobby. And all these old pricks that are trying to tell people that, oh, you know, the kids shouldn't do this. I actually had a kid he reached out to me saying, oh, I can't fly tail draggers until I've flown 2 years, right? And I'm like, what are you talking about? You fly tail draggers as your first primary trainer. So for all you old farts, go ruin somebody's golf game. So look, please like and subscribe my videos, everybody. The reason I have this channel is to try to share my successes with you. I don't share anything with you, virtually anything with you that I haven't done myself that's been successful or a disaster, so you can learn from it. So learn from me. Don't do the disastrous things, but the successful things, try it, and you'll probably have success. So I will see you next time, and please like and subscribe. I'm building my YouTube, and have an awesome day, everybody, okay? Rock on and be safe. Bye.